And Shalom, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai. Double honors to my apostles and the elders at GMS that rule well, and all you brothers in the four corners of the earth. Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash, Bakatham to your brothers. The confusion of faces scattered among every nation who are the Israelites, so-called Latinos, the natives, and the so-called Negroes, the so-called Amerindians. And to all the sisters, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash, Bakatham, to y'all and your families. The name of this lesson is the scattering of Israel. Alright, the scattering of Israel. And this is one of the main things in scriptures when it comes to prophecy that you have to understand that Israel is scattered among every nation. Alright? And from that, it would open your mind to more scriptures, to more understanding. Alright? So, let's start with our first scripture. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And if we had obeyed the Lord, the Lord wouldn't have scattered us. But that's for one. So we disobey the Lord. Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, thy power, to observe to do all his commandments, and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And what is one of the curses? One of the curse. Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither nor thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And the Lord put this curse upon us. That's why we're not in our land and we're not a nation. Alright? Now we're coming back. Prior to this time, we were not a nation. You see? So the Lord scattered us among all people, meaning all nations. This is Deuteronomy, Shalacya, James chapter 1 verse 1. James, the servants of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. You see? And these are milk scriptures, but these are foundation scriptures. These are scriptures that give you a firm foundation, firm understanding. And we're in that time where we should be rooted and grounded in this truth. Jeremiah 30 verse 11. For I am with thee, said Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. You know? And that's what the Lord is doing right now. The Lord is showing us mercy by taking us out among all these nations and wash us clean with his word. You know? This is Isaiah 11 verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. And that root is talking about Yahushua. And who is Jesse? Jesse was David's father. You know? And Yahushua come from the lineage of David. You know, if you can receive it, David's son, which was Solomon, it was Yahushua. You know? Which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek. Who's Gentile? The Israelite foreigners. You know? The Israelites that were scattered among all nations, that take up the customs of these nations, their ways, and look like these other nations, even look like them, but the spirit in them, you know, show, what you would say, make them stand out from the other nations, though they may look like them. Alright? I could say in Romans 8 verse 16, the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Alright? This is 1 Corinthians 12 verse 1. 12 verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. See? So by going after these other idols, these other nation gods that we were scattered, we became Gentiles. We became Israelite foreigners. Alright? And Yahushua is bringing us back to our right state of mind, to our heritage. You know? When he died and he raised 2,000 years ago, and now we're coming back, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You know. So let me read back this, Isaiah 11 verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, the Israelite foreigners, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time. When was the first time that the Lord stretched forth his hand? When he took us out of the land of Egypt. You know, and the second time when the Lord will stretch forth his hand is now. We're in spiritually Egypt, which is America, under the captivity of the Edomites. You know, which is over here in the Americas, you know, Babylon the Great. Alright? Modern day Egypt. To recover the remnant of his people, you know, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt, you know, and from Patros and from Cush, which is Ethiopia, and from Elam, which is the Elamites, the so-called East Indian, and from Shinar, and from Amat, and from the isles of the sea, you know. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. You see, and that's what the Lord is doing now. Alright? So our people coming out of these different nations, like I mentioned earlier, they wouldn't look like they're supposed to. You know, they would look like these nations. They would look like the so-called East Indian. They would look like the Edomite. You know, they would look like the Moabite, so-called Chinese. They would look like the Ammonites, so-called Japanese. You know, the so-called Africans, the Canaanites, the Amites. You know, this is and even the Apostle John, when he was on the island of Patmos, he saw them, and he could not recognize these Israelites. You know, this is Revelation 7 verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, because he could recognize the 144,000 men. Right? And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, but no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation is to our power, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and above the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped, saying, So be true, Amen. Blessing and glory, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honor, and power, and might be unto our power forever and ever. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. You know, those are the Israelites that were scattered among all nations. Alright? All nations. Alright, let me get one more precept. Can. This is Acts chapter 2. Start of verse 5. And they were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Alright? Devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noise abroad, the multitude come together, and were confounded, because that every man or them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born, Parthians, and Medes, and Elamites. So by dwelling among these other nations, and grow up among them, live among them, you're born among them, you speak their language, and when you go into our history in the book of Nehemiah, it tells you that some of the Israelites, they could speak the language of these other nations, but they can't speak the language of the heritage, which is the Hebrew. You see? So, say Parthian, and Medes, and Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea, and Cappadocia, in Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia, and Pamphylia, in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, even among the Ishmaelites. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of the Most High. You see? So our people is scattered among all these nations, and they're gonna come out looking like these nations. Alright? So we in the gathering. We in the gathering through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You know. So I hope this lesson was edifying. The point. All praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Shalom.